Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. We're back. Ba-da-ba. I don't know why I went to the McDonald's theme song. Da 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 da. We're back. Da 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 da. Da 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 in my room. That was a thumbs down. We're gonna think long and hard about that. Anyway, I got here a little bit of turmeric, cinnamon, some agave, and lemon, and some clove as well. And that's my tea for the day. I hope you got your tea incense burning. I got a mugwort incense burning. I wrote down some questions that I wanted to really put on this podcast because I feel like as I make this, it's an exploration into the depths of me in real time. And so I wrote down questions because in a lot of these videos, I want to be very intentional in the way that I'm showing up. And I want to be very raw and vulnerable. And so the only way to do that is to grow right here in real time as I'm recording. And so I wrote down some questions. I wanted to answer them on video because it is real time response. So, yeah. One of the questions I wrote, I'm looking over here because it's on this paper. What language do you use with yourself? And also, if you all want to write that down in your journal and journal about it, feel free. What language do you use with yourself? So I thought about it a little bit before making this video, and I realized how much my internal dialogue has been very negative. Even when externally I may say all these affirmations, which a lot of times we use affirmations for toxic Lord. A lot of times we use affirmations for toxic positivity, and we never truly relate to it in the way that we want to, or we never truly believe the affirmations that we are speaking of ourselves. And so I had to realize like my internal dialogue truly is negative sometimes. And it's important that we do the necessary work. And by we, I mean collectively, but also I'm talking about myself. It's important that we do the necessary work to shift that little voice inside of our minds that is always constantly narrating every single action, every single frame of our life. And it grows louder a lot of times when we make mistakes or we feel like that we've done the wrong thing. It reminds us that we will never be worth anything. It speaks down on us and it doesn't acknowledge our wins or our successes or where the beauty within us lies. It seems to always talk about where you've messed up, where you've hurt this person. Remember that one time 5 years ago when you did this thing, you know? So a lot of times our internal dialogue is so negative. And I was just thinking, like, how do I really speak about myself internally, no matter how many affirmations I put on the wall, no matter how many affirmations I speak over myself or I put on a mirror? How is my internal dialogue? And I sat with my internal dialogue earlier in meditation. I was listening to a guided affirmation meditation, and I wanted to be very intentional about not speaking outwardly these affirmations, not saying it audibly, but saying it within my mind, allowing myself to speak to myself within my mind because I realize how much I don't do that enough, right? Like we say a lot of positive things over our lives outside of ourselves, but we never do it in the mind, which that is where everything stems from, you know? I thought about that meditation earlier and I kind of thought about just every way in which I have not spoken positively about myself. But I know where it stems from. And so a lot of that energy for just a lot of us, period, comes from maybe we didn't have the best home environment or love around us to remind us of our worth, to remind us that we are loved and we are valued and that we deserve to be here and we are needed. And so I know a lot of my internal dialogue has been stemming from situations and people and circumstances that weren't the most positive. And so we become conditioned in a lot of ways to always overly criticize ourselves. And I've said this in another video. We become conditioned to overly criticize ourselves. And we never look at the places in which we are abundant. So, to that little voice, I've learned to create a person. Some people might be like, "Oh my gosh, she has multiple personalities." Realistically, guys, I probably do. I probably do. Self-reflection. Um, but no, I've learned to turn the voice inside of my mind into a figure, right? Into a being, and tell it that you have no place here. So when your emotions begin to visit, and I spoke to someone about this actually, when your emotions begin to visit, when negative self talk begins to visit, remind yourself that it cannot create a home here. It has no residence or any place here, and allow it to leave. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been conditioned, like I was saying earlier, through negative environments, negative people, certain situations and circumstances in our lives, to believe that we are less than our actual worth, to believe certain things about us, like you can't do that, you aren't capable, you're never going to be good enough. And as we've navigated into our adult lives, we haven't learned the necessary tools to be able to combat those thoughts. As we navigate this adulthood, we have not always learned, a lot of people haven't learned the necessary tools to be able to combat certain emotions that come up and sneak in like a thief in the night or an intruder into your mind. We haven't learned the necessary steps to be able to combat those thoughts. And so it's so easy to believe all of the false internal dialogue that has been accumulated over years of not integrating what you needed to integrate to then have positive self talk about yourself. So we've accumulated all of that, and it's always just here. And we haven't found a way to break the pattern. We haven't found a way to create new neural pathways in our mind, to break the chain of the old ones and create new ones, to then be able to bring about positive manifestation of the self in totality, not just speaking positive affirmations. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense with you all. I've learned to turn that energy into a being and tell it to leave. And when I do that, I do become lighter, you know? And so I just want to share. Ooh, my tea. I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. This was a good tea too, and I only have a sip left. Well, this is a perfect example. When you were younger and you may have done something like this, for instance, spilled your drink or spilled whatever, messed up something, you were taught to believe that you were bad for doing that. A lot of times kids get popped or they get yelled at when they make a mistake like this. And so you carried that thought with you for the rest of your life. And you didn't know how to integrate it. So you thought every single time you made a mistake, you were a bad person. You didn't deserve love. You weren't worthy. You're going to get hurt. I deserve to get hurt, is what I should say. I deserve to get hurt because I made this mistake. When in reality, I'm going to wipe this up in a minute, but I'm going to be patient. I forgot what I was saying before this happened. It kind of threw me a little bit, but it's okay. But overall, yeah, I've learned to turn this, I think that's what I was saying. Yeah, I've learned to turn this negative self-talk into a person and make it leave. You know what I'm saying? And it's helped me become lighter just in my energy and in my mind, of course. And also it's helped me to really believe that I don't always need to think so insignificantly about myself. I am significant. I am a significant, valuable, divine woman. And I don't need to always think that I am insignificant or I am not loved or not valued or I deserve to be hurt when I make mistakes. So yeah, I just want to speak a little bit about that. That's where my stream went today. That's the answer to the question in which was asked. And I hope that you all can relate to what you can relate with and what you don't relate with. Go ahead and leave it behind. But whoever stayed to the end of this video, I wish you peace. I wish you love and healing and light and abundance, because that is what we need in this dark ass system and world that humans have created. We need more of that. So I wish you love. I wish you peace. I wish you light. And I pray that you was able to follow along with my stream, because I know I'm a Pisces. I be flowing. Okay? If you was able to go down the rabbit holes with me, then you was able to go down the rabbit hole. If you wasn't able to, then you wasn't meant for this here chit chat. Okay? But anyway, I'm gonna go and clean this up. And y'all have a blessed day. Peace.